Hi and welcome to Battlebox and Beyond. I'm joined by Mike and Kevin.
Hello.
Today we're going to go through the Warmachine battle boxes. Everyone picks them up to begin with. Where do you go from there? What units do you take and why? And basically give you a bit of an overview and a guide of how you can progress your armies. So, take it away, Kev.
Okay, for this one, it's one of the two factions in the two-player kit. It's Khador.
Is that Khador? Khador?
I go Khador. There is some variation, but
Arm Essex is all spike and proper.
Yeah, in it. Right. Quickly go over what everyone gets in the battle box.
Yep.
For this, you get Commander Soldier or Soldier 1, or Prime Soldier, all the different names of how people go, and she's quite a nice Ice Queen. Gets you an idea of Khador being the winter and all of that kind of stuff. Yep. You get a Juggernaut, which is a nice, cheap, smash your face in, nice and simple. Heavy Jack. And you get the Destroyer. Still got a big axe, but it's got a gun. So it gives you a bit of an option. And if you go for the two-player set, you have the Man of War Shock Troopers as well. So multi-wound, big armour, getting used to that idea of Khador being that way inclined.
So if we base it on that you've got the battle box to begin with, just as a solo player, so you pick that up, you've got your two war jacks. Now obviously there's no light jacks in there because Khador don't have light jacks.
Nope.
Why bother? And your caster. So from there, where would you guys move things forward and increase?
Well, the first thing I was looking at was the units you'll take.
Yeah.
Like, so obviously they're cheap, you can get in the games quickly and simply.
Yep.
So we've got a choice of 3 units we've chosen.
Yeah.
What we think are good starting points.
Yeah, sort of just to... We wanted all the way through this, hopefully, try and keep a set of guidelines, if nothing else, for ourselves, if nothing else, of try to avoid character stuff because they can only be used in single lists. So the named personalities.
Okay.
And also the fact
that's more looking at it at a kind of tournament.
Well, not only that. The fact that they're so special. Try and learn the faction rather than going for all the bells and whistles.
Yeah.
And we're just going for 2 or 3 of units, solos, jacks, and additional warcasters.
Right. Okay.
Just so people, hopefully, if they trust us, can develop what. From there, and hopefully by that point they've learnt their faction and can go their own happy way.
I mean, from a kind of Warmachine point of view and mechanics and everything else, a unit is a good step forward from the battle box because it's not going to affect your focus economy.
No.
So what you've learnt to play with already will still play as you have, and learned to do at that time, and then the unit will then bolster your force from there. So you're not then having to juggle. You've already got used to using it this way. Suddenly you've got to then distribute your focus differently and everything else. You're not going to do that. You're just going to have a nice, simple unit that is autonomous, can do as you need to, and it makes the game easier to move into rather than complicating things overly when you start.
Exactly. So, if you want to go start this, Mike?
The first unit we've chose are the Widowmakers.
Okay, so these are the all-girl sniper teams.
All girls, from the picture, they're all girl sniper teams.
Yeah,
but
I think most of the models are female, aren't they? Or is there a couple of male
Kev would know that.
I think they are mixed. The squad leader is the female with the eye patch.
Right. Yep.
So.
Okay. What you get in a unit is a leader and 3 grunts at 4 points. So it's cheap. It goes straight into the army. And the notable things about these are the defence of 14.
Right.
So they're not easy to hit.
Hard to hit.
They're a rat of 7,
which is really high for the game.
Yep. They've got a 14-inch range on their guns.
Yep.
So long range. They've got the sniper rule, which is instead of having a roll to damage jacks, they can just knock off 1 point.
Right, okay.
So instead of, because they're only power 10, if you're aiming at armour 19, 20 jack, you're not going to do nothing. The sniper rule means they can just do that 1 point each, to give them something to do.
I suppose.
It doesn't have to be jacks, it can be any model. If you fail to wound, you can inflict one point anyway. So you can have models in shield wall, or got defensive spells. You can just say, I've hit you, point, dead.
Yeah.
If you're going for jacks or beast, you can choose which column and still do that
useful.
point.
I mean, I play Cricks personally, and whenever I play my friends, they try and take out my arc nodes as quick as possible, and with that, they take out the arc nodes because you just aim for that column. So in terms of your Khador army, so you've got your heavy base now with your 2 jacks.
Yeah.
And this is actually adding a long-ranged sniping team to that.
Yeah.
So it's something that's going to aid you, because it's going to take out other jacks, or it's going to whittle off their main components, or it's going to take out those annoying solos or things like that.
And also, as you were saying, because you've learnt the Battlebox, and you know what you're doing with that, this team of 4 is quite self-sufficient.
Yeah.
They've got advanced deployments, so you can put them on a flank. With camouflage, they get an additional +2 to defence when they benefit from cover or concealment.
Yeah.
So defence 14, put them behind a wall, defence 18, then +2 for that, defence 20.
Yeah.
And so they're fairly resilient, except for blast. And so they can just pick away and it gives the army a bit more range.
Yeah, I mean, Khador being quite a slow faction, you've got then time to whittle things as they come in, and then your big jacks hit in and smash everything in the way. Okay, so that's a nice choice. So your second troop choice?
Second troop choice, just find it, just moving down the range faction of it. Oh, went the wrong way, typical.
Yes, your Winter Guard.
Is the Winter
on the
Guard.
page after them.
I went the wrong way.
So if you buy the dual box, then these are the guys you come in...
No, they're the Man of War shock troops.
Oh, is it?
They're the third choice.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, these...
Winter Guard,
the Winter Guard infantry, you can get them now as a plastic kit,
right, okay.
Which gives you the 10-man unit plus the 3 weapon attachments, which we'll come to in a second.
Yep.
So it's a good investment, and in the fluff, it's the core of the Khadoran army anyway.
Yeah, these are kind of
the grunts.
bog standard grunt troopers, but they're the backbone of everything.
They're anything but grunt once you go through the whole package. Yeah. As a unit themselves, they are very, very basic. Their stats are probably a little bit below average. I won't bother going into in that sense.
There's a lot of 5s there.
Yeah, there's a lot of 5s. Defense 12, armor 13. So their blunderbusses are only range 8, power 12, which is pretty good. So as a 4-6 unit, 4 points for 6 guys or 6 points for 10 guys, they are
average.
They are, well, they're as plain can be, really.
Yeah.
So now we'll start giving them some of the tricks. Go for the officer and standard.
Right, okay.
This gives several bonuses. First off, the officer has a higher command, so it helps for stick around and also how much table they can take up.
Yep.
He has an ability called Bob and Weave, which is an order, so they can't run when he issues this order.
Yeah.
But the unit gains +2 defence while they've got that.
So in terms of Warmachine and Battlebox guys being beginners to this, so explain how the order kind of thing works.
Okay,
you wouldn't have encountered that previously with the box itself.
Well, in a way you have, because when you declare a charge or a run, that is an order.
Yes, but I mean, you've used Warjacks before.
I'm using that as a reference point. So, what this order is from the officer, it's his ability. So if he issues this, the same as run, same as aiming, same as charging, he issues that, and the unit gains a benefit. Because he's done this order, they obviously can't get any other order, such as running or charging. This is why I'm saying they can't run after that.
And you don't need to do any checks, or you don't have to roll anything to activate these.
Just automatically happens as long as you declare it. And ideally, if you've got some the Khadoran token set, you can get one of those tokens and just write down Bob and Wee or B+W or something to remind you and your opponents. So suddenly, doesn't sound but much, +2 defence, but it puts it up to defence 14.
Yep, so straight away a little bit harder to take down.
Yeah, and they also, it gives them combined melee, which it's not something instantly, I forgot to say, the basic unit has combined range, so even though it's got lots of 5s, they can sometimes combine to make sure their hit does hurt.
So that's where, rather than do several shots, they all combine into one shot.
Yeah, they all aim at
bonuses from there.
Exactly.
Okay. And then the combined melee, that's not an effective Bob and Weave, that's just as well as
a separate ability.
Yeah, and that one you don't have to activate.
No. Again, like the shooting, they all hit the same target, but instead of with their guns, with their axes.
Yeah. And
then the final bit is the standard bearer. Unusual for Mark II, the standard bearer is for a 2-point addition. the standard bearer actually has a gun and an axe.
Which is always useful.
Yeah, most of them at 2 points don't actually have a weapon, so that's good in itself. And the ability the standard bearer has is amazing. It's called Grape Shot, which means instead of doing their normal range 8, power 12 shot, each model can do a spray 8, power 10 shots.
Okay.
Which
makes a hell of a difference. I mean, it's
if they target people, they don't get the cover and bonuses for being behind cover. They don't get if they're in melee, you can still shoot models, and they don't get the being in melee defensive bonus.
Hitting more than one.
Hitting more than one. So even with their low rat, if you can put the target over 2 or 3 guys, you're improving your odds.
But just remember, this isn't 40k.
Yeah.
Try not to get you guys under the template as well, because they will get shot in the back of the head.
Sometimes I have had to do that to clear out paths, and when I've done that, I have actually rolled 111 on my own guy and taken out a couple other guys. It can work for you, but you can kill your own guys. It is sometimes unwanted. Sometimes you have to do that for the greater good.
Yeah, I mean, as a Crix player, I don't care. They're automatons. They're there to die. It's only when I then pop a bile purge and manage to get my own caster.
We don't talk about bile purges.
No.
Although we did talk about when you get your own caster.
Yeah, it wasn't very good.
Yeah, it's funny that.
Denny died that time.
Oh, what a shame.
Okay, so next with the Winter Guard.
And finally, they get a weapon attachment.
Okay.
As if the unit wasn't fairly large already, because potentially that's a 12-man unit anyway.
Yep.
In the box set, you get 3.
Up to a 15-man unit.
Yeah, up to 3 Rocketeers.
Right. Okay.
These are a point each, and you can have up to 3 Rocketeers per unit.
Yep.
Exactly the same as the normal guys, with their blunderbusses and axe, but they also have a long-range rocket with a small AOE, which allows them to reach out and touch someone a bit earlier on.
Yeah, and with AOEs, I mean, what strength is this?
It's power 12, so it's a power
6 on the blast. It's still enough to take down weak stuff and
light infantry, skirmishers, anything like that. I mean, and as you said at the start of this bit, the phrase Death Star comes up, because potentially if you can keep everyone alive, it's a bit of a perfect world situation.
Yeah.
And you have the officer leading it, and they're all in range. She's Rat 6, but you have all 15 of them with their blunderbusses shooting a target.
Yeah.
You're on Rat 21, power 27.
Yeah, that will take out most things.
That will
quite easily.
It was smart. I mean,
on average, you're getting +8 to what you roll for damage.
That is the most perfect example.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a likely thing to happen every game, but for that one perfect game.
But to be honest, with the standard, I've had it so the first half of the game, I've lost most of that unit, and the last 4 or 5 guys have still got me my points back with the sprays, taking out multiple models. They're great. I will say Khador was my first army for about a year and a half. They were my bread and butter.
Yeah, and also, I mean, with a unit that size, it's going to intimidate the enemy, because to be honest, you don't normally see 15-man units in Warmachine, and also tactically, you've got an edge there, because you can block charge lanes, you can gum up the works, you can grab onto those objectives, move your guys forward to surround it, and then you're sticking out 8-inch sprays from everywhere. Yeah, it's a really nice tactically sound unit that you can do a lot with.
We will be coming back to these later on. So if we just keep going. So the last of the infantry units we wanted to go through, just gone one too many. Mike, if
the
you
Man of War shock troops will come in the 2-player starter box.
That's it.
Because you've got if you buy that box, obviously you've got
them with
already.
them anyway. Yeah.
So you might as well have a look at them.
And I mean, looking at their stats and everything else, these guys are almost like the Terminator equivalent of 40k.
Yeah.
They've got quite heavy armor 17.
And they've got
reasonable defense.
They've got an order called Shield Wall.
Right.
Which is if you're in base to base with another model from the unit, they get +4 armor.
Right.
So 17 goes to 21. If you pair them up or put them in threes.
Yeah.
Having 6 of these guys running around armor 21.
You'll not be shifting those anytime soon, particularly easily.
Especially with 8 wounds, so even if the odd wound does get through, they're not dropping quickly.
Nah.
Yeah.
The only trouble about them is, if you do the shield wall order, they're only going 4 inches.
Yeah.
So they can be slow at times. So it's knowing when to do it, when not to.
Yeah.
But their mat is top end. they've got reach, they've got good power and strength with their weapon.
Yep.
And if you're looking for objectives or trying to hold a nice bottleneck area so they can go shield wall still, they've still got their shield cannon, which a lot of
short range, strength 14.
A lot of people
put a lot of dents in things.
Yeah, a lot of people forget about it, and it can be one of those little surprise bits. It's not again not something you do every time, but it's still good.
And with reach as well, I mean, it increases your melee range to 2 inches, isn't it?
Yeah,
2 inches.
2.
Yes. And yeah, again, a nice solid unit, and potentially, if you've gone the route of the 2-player box, you've got them already. If not, they're a good investment because they are solid.
Yeah,
it's what all things in Khador should be. You know, nice and solid, hard to shift. Okay, so
that's all the units.
Yeah, so you've got your battle box. You've then upgraded to a unit or maybe a couple of units. You don't, depending on where you want to go. So where would you go from there?
Then we started having a look at some of the solos.
Okay.
What we'd consider taking. First and foremost is the 1+.
Oh.
What we thought of anyway.
Yeah.
The War Dog.
Yeah, this is. I've been on the receiving end of these a few times. They are horrible.
They're annoying.
I'm sure we'll find it. There he is. He's almost as close as I would say to an auto include for Khador. There's only one argument not to, but we'll come to that in a second, really.
Yeah.
But he's fantastic. If you just want to go through what you can do, Mike.
Yeah, no problem. Start off with we're looking at absolutely all this stuff. The first thing we noticed was guard dog. If he's within 3 inches of your caster, you get +2 defence on your caster.
Nice for 1 point.
Yeah, really nice.
Against melee attacks and
it's against melee attacks, and the model attacking the warcaster doesn't gain backstrike bonus.
Okay, so you're still going to suffer from shooting, but that's limited, really.
The shooting is never normally as strong as the melee combat.
Yeah.
So
yeah, really good.
Another thing we looked at was the fact that the dog's got tough.
Yeah.
So it's essentially got a 6+.
Yeah.
5
So if you've not seen
save.
tough before, once you've been wounded enough to kill you, you get a 6+,
5 up,
5 up armor save essentially. Which if you pass, you're knocked down, but you survive with 1 point of health left.
Yeah.
Which is really frustrating at times.
Now the other thing I noticed about this, and this is something what Kev don't like, but I like, it's the counter charge. When an enemy model advances and enters movement within 6 inches of this model, it can charge them.
Yep.
Get its melee attack, and then you do the return, which is another bit of ability.
Yep.
It comes back to your caster, and it can't be targeted by a 3 strike on its way in, on its way back.
Which is really useful, but again, it's you may return it. I'll tell you why. I've played against Khador a little while ago with my Cricks. I ran up one of my Arc Node Bone Jacks. Gonna start smacking down with a load of Denegra's powers. Dog runs in, bites it,
and
doesn't destroy it, but just stays there. So then I can't use my Arc Node because it's still in combat.
Yeah.
Really, really frustrating. So if you've got someone comes up with some kind of either shooting or magic or anything like that, run the dog in and then just park it on his 6, and he can't do anything.
The reason I said, Mike said I don't like countercharge is not that I don't like countercharge. I think it's a great ability.
Yeah.
I mean, look at the Bronzeback Titan, for example. That's got countercharge. The reason I don't use it that often myself is I would rather keep my Warcaster with +2 defence and the defensive bonuses for that 1 point addition than risk running him out and him getting eaten or in the way or out of position.
Yeah.
I find the +2 defence is life saving.
Better investment.
What I was saying a minute ago about only thing against him is if you're using a more combat orientated Warcaster in Khador, there's a nice selection.
Yep.
Fantastic. Wouldn't think of anything else. But recently in the expansion books, there's another mercenary unit attachment, Silas Wishnailer. And he gives a lot of bonuses as far as spell casting, so increasing your range, free upkeeps and abilities like that. And if you're using a more backfield support caster, if you're at the back of the field and using cover, do you need the defence bonus, or would you want? So
I think
early on.
Early on, first starting point when you're first
He's
into the
fantastic.
Game, he's invaluable because he's going to save your butt so many times it's ridiculous.
Yeah, definitely.
And if not, he's going to draw fire away from your caster anyway. People want to try and pick him
Yeah,
off.
and for one point, I'd say he's one of the best unit attachments going in the game, and he's a great model.
Yeah. In terms of defence as well, what's the average defence like on a caster for Khador?
The average is about 14.
Well, you're looking normally about defence 15, armour 15. Yeah, they're pretty in that area.
Okay.
So suddenly going up to defence 17 in melee.
And does he get defence bonuses as well?
No, but I'd rather have him keep 3 inches behind the warcaster, out of harm's way, giving the bonuses to his boss.
Yeah, I mean that's the way I'd play it. If you are going to have him, the reason why was, yes, he can block a charge lane if he's in front, but also because his defence is slightly lower than the casters. If you are going to start throwing template magic around and things like that, you'd aim for him, not the caster, and hope to hit the caster as well.
My friends do try and target the dog whenever they can because they don't like because they know later on when they go for my caster, they don't want this guard dog ability around.
Yeah. This is always the second thing what I have priority to kill in a Khador list. First thing is Widowmakers.
No, see,
dog goes next.
If I saw that and the guy had it next to his caster, and I was playing P. Asphyxius, I'd be laughing because I'd just pop my feet and just hammer him and just kill them both.
Oh no, I've got a thing against Widowmakers as well. So.
I had a game a while back, and my friend was playing Severius.
Yeah.
I think it was the prime one, the one that can take over friendly models with his feet, enemy models with his feet. Is it Peoria? I can't remember which one. And he actually took over one of my Winter Guard, who suddenly walked up behind the dog going, oh look, I've got rear bonus, and just took old Blue around the bike shed and put a shotgun in the back of his head.
Okay.
But all good fun.
So moving on to the next solo.
Yeah.
Now
we've broke our own rule.
Yeah, I was about to say you've broken your own rule there slightly.
But
I can understand why.
Yeah. And
that's the reason we broke it.
Yeah. Right. As far as I'm aware of what we've drafted out for the rest of it, this is the exception to the rule we've laid out. We are going for a character here.
I did wonder if he was going to.
Yes. Since we've mentioned the Winter Guard.
Yeah.
The Winter Guard and Kovnik Joseph Grigorovich, or Kovnik Joe, as everyone knows him as, is
sick.
It'd be wrong not to have him, really.
Yeah,
he makes an already good unit horrendous.
Yeah, right. He's not unit attachment, so he doesn't have to keep in coherency of the unit.
Yep.
But he has, well, we'll quickly go through it. His stat line is not bad, but it's still not great. He's getting a bit on in his years, so he's not as sprightly. But he's
nice for 2 points.
He's not nice for 2 points. First off, he's got sacrificial pawn, which basically means if someone tries to shoot him and there's a Winter Guard model nearby, they can take the shot for him.
Yep.
Though,
as he drags him in the way.
No, they dive to save their fearless leader.
We look at it different ways.
However, if you're playing him right, one, he shouldn't be anywhere near the danger, and two, there shouldn't be any Winter Guard near him to dive in the way.
Yeah.
And we'll go into that in a second. And he's got a hand cannon. Everyone loves a hand cannon.
Yep. So range 12, power 1, power 12.
Yeah.
A nice heavy shot.
Yep. And then the reason you take him, he has 3 speeches that he can give the units.
So these equivalent of orders?
They're not orders. He can still do whatever he likes.
Okay, so he doesn't have to do an action to do these. He's just an innate ability.
Yeah, during this model's activation, it can make one of the following speeches. When it does, choose a friendly Winter Guard unit. The speech will affect this models in this unit if there's one model in that unit in his command range.
Yeah, that's a banner.
We'll get into that in a minute, Mike. First off, he's got Bear Strength, which all models in the unit gain +3 strength for a turn, which turns their axes and their power and strength on their axes is normally 11, sort of 8, so it turns it into 11.
Yeah, which is an average, quite a decent punt for.
Again, if you still got the officer, so they still got combined melee, it can start stacking up, but it's not the first pick out of those, but it's still definitely not one you that's not bad. Then you've got Courage of the Forefathers. Affected models gain Fearless and Tough. Fearless, so if there's things with Abomination or Terror nearby,
won't be running away.
If they suffer some casualties, you don't even have to worry about taking tests. All
awesome.
nice and
yep.
And Tough, it's as we said before.
5+ save.
Yeah, so
which is always good.
Yeah, and then finally, for the Motherland, affected models' attack rolls are boosted this turn.
So it's an additional D6
to
hit and
just to hit. It's just the attack rolls.
Yes, so.
On all those 8-inch sprays.
Yeah. or that one Uber shot.
Yeah, but to be honest, it's more when you start doing the sprays where you can say before with a RAS of 5 and your defense 13, I need 8s to hit on 2 dice.
Yeah, so
not great.
On average, not
no.
brilliant.
So if you've got 3 guys on that template, you might get 2 if you're lucky.
Yeah.
Suddenly going, I need 8 on 3 dice. The odds are you're going to be getting all 3 of them.
Yep, and then you do multiple sprays as well.
Yeah.
So anything in the way is going to die
and this
die
is
horribly.
And this is why I'm saying how when I've only had 4 or 5 guys left of that unit, they can still get their points because when the enemies close, they can just really tear it.
What's nice as well, a lot of the sprays in the system are corrosion, fire, lightning, ice. These aren't, so no one's going to have an immunity to these generally unless they're incorporeal or something like that.
These are just pain.
Yeah, just shotguns basically.
Yeah. And what I was saying about how you wouldn't use the sacrificial pawn and how, right, say I've got Joe right on the edge of the table.
Yep.
I only need 1 model in that unit to be in his command range of 9 to get the benefit. So 9 inches in front of him, you can have the standard bearer to keep him safe. Then 9 inches in front of the standard bearer, you can have the officer.
Yeah, and then everyone else.
And then the rest of the unit, 9 inches in front of the officer. You can have Joe is basically, not including the width of the bases, 27 inches from the front line.
As all good commanders should be.
Yeah. You're doing fine. Keep going, lads. And so, and I mean, it's a bit of a running gag again with some of my mates when you see Joe leaving the deployment zone. Sometimes out of principle, I have him on the front line and I start moving him backwards as the army goes forward, just to wind friends up.
It does make you wonder what the guys at the very, very front line are actually hearing, because like the Chinese whispers along the route, the speech is coming out, all kinds of weirdness.
I'm assuming someone called someone something, and they got upset with something.
But for what he gives the unit, suddenly, like I said, this basic unit, if you ignore the rockets for now, because I find the rockets, when I build my armies, they're like help fill in the last few points.
Yeah.
But if you look at just a 10-man unit with the officer and standard, and then Joe, that's 10 points, not for 13 guys. Yeah. All of them can fight, all of them can do stuff. Well, except for maybe the standard if he's too far back. But it's a nice unit. So
it's a nice synergies with the army, and it's got a lot of tactical advantage with it. If you need a heavy hitter, give them the strength. If you need a lot of damage, and you give them the sprays, or if you need them to stick around to hold the objective, you give them the tough.
Exactly.
And it gives them a flexibility there.
And so you've got that real core to the army. Yeah. You've got the men of war helping out with the real big punch. Yeah. You've got the Widowmakers helping picking off stuff. Bits. You've got the War Dog protecting the Warcaster. Yeah. And you've got this in the centre, being the first wave, getting the land, getting the objectives. If the enemy have got infantry, they can deal with that. Yeah. And try and bring the fight in the way that the Motherland wants. Yeah. And it'd be hard to push to shift. I mean, and you're blocking charge lanes. Really, really useful. I mean, out of the 3, I would go with them as a first choice. Yeah. Because they add so much more to the army. There's so much flexibility with that, and from there you can then start building out from there. But there's also a case of how much money you were to spend at a time. Yeah, but I mean, which was another way we looked at it. But money isn't something we should always, it's what you feel is best and how you. Yeah, well, hopefully the whole purpose of this is that people, in whatever speed they want to buy this. Some people can buy it all in one go. Some over a couple of weeks, couple of months, whatever. Hopefully the pointers we're giving here, people won't feel that they waste any money.
No.
True.
And that's one of the goals.
Just to open people's eyes and give them an insight into what ways you can improve your collection and what kind of elements would benefit your army.
Yeah, sort of. There are bits that work in more tight niches within armies and certain interactions. Hopefully, this will give you a heart to your army. That from there, you can expand to your heart's content and go all of the weird and wonderful ways you can.
So, done units. Is that the only solos? There's no other solos?
We only done the two.
Only done the two. The dog and Joe.
Yeah.
Just to help fill in those little niche
not
holes.
Not overcomplicate things to begin with. Okay.
So
next up,
better get some more metal in the army.
Yep.
So looking at the jacks.
We can skip all the light jacks because there are none.
If you're going to spend that much resource in the Cortex, you might as well build it big. Do you want to do this one, Mike? Or
we went for the Kodiak for the first one.
Okay.
So as close to your Everblight as you're going to get in Khador.
So in terms
it's got armour.
In terms of the Khador Kodiak, is that part of the multi-jack kit?
No, this one is the only one that isn't in one of the plastic kits as far as a non. Well, so you've got the Berserker as well. As as the core jacks, this one's on its own chassis.
Okay. Just to get that out there.
Yeah, that's fine.
We chose this one because it's a really solid jack. It's got a heavy boiler.
Okay.
So it runs without spending your focus.
Always
so you've got more for your caster.
Yep.
But it's obviously only runs, so it's only going to be effective the first maybe turn or 2 turns. Because it's only speed 4, so.
All right. So it runs.
Runs without spending your focus.
Okay. Yep.
So your first 2 turns you won't be allocating to it.
Yeah.
So.
But that gives you a chance to put your spells out. So.
Yep.
But you still for charge and everything else, you still have to spend focus in that sense.
But what I did notice though, is for 8 points you get 34 damage boxes.
Yep, and they're nicely spaced in terms of the system, so you're not going to take them out particularly easily.
And there's 20 armour to get through before you can start on them 34 boxes.
Yep.
And for all of that armour and mass and everything, it's still nice and dainty and comes with Pathfinder.
Yeah.
Okay. Didn't expect that. Okay, so Pathfinder as well.
The other thing we looked at was the 2 open fists.
Always useful.
So I can do a lot of the power attacks from the rulebook, obviously.
Yep.
Which are always good to use, and they're both power 16.
And it's got a chain attack.
Yeah.
So basically, if you hit with
both fists, you do one of the power attacks
for free.
So a standard one, if you really loaded this jack up, it charges in on a target, hits with both the fists. You go, I don't know, power attack, headbutt, knock the target on the floor. Then your additional attacks that you buy with your focus are hitting automatically.
Yeah.
So you can just keep on smashing. And if it does get clogged up with infantry, it has an ability called Vent Steam, where you can put a 3-inch template round it, counts as being in a cloud, so it goes up to a heady height of defense 12, and models inside the... Living models, okay, yes, cricks. Inside it suffer a power 12, as they get broiled alive.
Yeah, always good.
So it's got a bit of anti-infantry tech, but once you've from your Juggernaut and your Destroyer, those early turns, having something that can charge over walls or charge through a forest, to give you a bit more of the table control. Yeah. And as Mike said, the armor 20 and all of those hit points. It's such a good utility.
Yeah. And if it does get swamped, then you vent and kill everything around it.
So it's a great little jack. Well, little, but...
So next after that...
Yeah. Well, we've kind of gone half and half here. It's on the same kit here.
Okay.
It's the... where is it? The Devastator or the Spriggan.
Right, okay. So this is the kind of... The clamshell one.
The clamshell kits. If you're really clever... and you can magnetise the kits, you can do both.
Well worth it.
If you can't, I would say out of 2, build the Spriggan first. But we'll just quickly go over both.
Yep, okay. Okay,
the Devastator, it's just a giant bowling ball. It's the easiest way to think of it.
Yeah.
You know the bit right at the beginning with Raiders of the Lost Ark?
Yes.
Yeah, that bit chasing after Indy as he's going through the temple, that's pretty much one of these. Because when it's not attacking, it seals all its armour up and it goes up to armour 25.
isn't it? Armour 25 normally. Oh no, Armour 21. Yes, sorry.
It's armour 25 normally, but when it loses its arms each time, if it loses one of either its left or its right arm, its armour goes down by 4. When it loses its other arm, it goes down by another 4. So,
Right, okay.
Or if it attacks, it counts as being open, so it goes down to armour 17.
Right. Okay.
So when you attack, you've got to understand if there's anything hard nearby, it will die afterwards.
Yeah.
But just that threat of this thing just rolling towards your enemy caster,
yeah.
it strikes the fear into them. It's got 2 open fists, so it can do the power attacks and everything.
Yep. No chain attacks this time.
No chain attacks.
Going for it already.
It's got bulldoze, so it can push people away, move them 2 inches as it's moving, and it's directly away. It's not kind of weird. If I hit you here, you go this angle. It's base to base away.
Yeah.
With those sprays of Winter Guard, it's really nice to herd people together tighter sometimes, so you can get even more in that.
And it don't matter if you hit him, because your power of 12 ain't hurting his armour of 25.
Even boosted. And then finally, its real trick is its Rain of Death. It's a star attack, which means it actually says here you can do it as a charge, part of your charge attack, but you do forfeit all your other attacks on your initial attacks.
Yeah.
But models in base to base suffer an automatic power 18, and other models within 3 inches of it suffer a power 9. You can boost this. This is why you just point it towards the enemy caster, and if they try and run off, you just keep rolling and rolling and rolling.
Slow inevitable death coming at you.
Yeah, and like your Denegra, she's got no armour. She relies on our high defence, doesn't she?
And a stealth, which isn't going to help in this situation.
I get into base to base with a focus, and I suddenly go, right, what's your defence? I don't care. Suffer a boosted power 18.
Yeah.
You're getting +4 before the dice are even rolled.
Yeah. So it just puts the fear of God into people.
Yeah. You'll never get there.
You will.
Armour 25, how are you stopping it?
Shadow bind it, just had to tap it. Can't move, and just walk away.
Yeah. There's means trust me.
Before or after it's blown up in your face?
It's too late.
Yeah, it is too late once it's blown up. Right. And the other one.
Moving 2 inches. Yeah, so many ways.
Then you're ignoring the other side of things.
No.
The other kit, the chassis you can make from this is the Spriggan. Again, it's very similar in some of the rules. It's got bulldoze, so it's really useful. This one is more, if you almost think of a knight as a jack. It's got a lance. It's the only non-character jack Khador have got that's got reach.
Okay.
Which in itself is huge.
Yeah, it's priceless.
Look at it, this one's pretty much a jack of all trades.
Yeah.
But
it's got a shield, so it puts up to armour 21 from the front.
Yep.
Which, just makes it that little bit harder.
Yep.
And also with the shield, if someone's got an armour piercing, you still get that shield bonus. So it takes that little edge off attacks like that. The lance has got powerful charge, so it gets +2 to attack when it's charging with this weapon.
So
going up to a mat of 8, the equivalent on the charge. Power 18, sorry.
Yep.
So it's really
reach as well. Yeah.
And the other trick it's got, which gives it its versatility, is it's got the 2 shoulder-mounted grenade launchers.
Okay.
It's not rate of fire 2, it's 2 separate, so you don't need.
So you can fire them without any additional focus.
Yeah, and it's got 2 different types of ammo. Okay. One is a normal range 10, AoE 3, power 10 grenade.
Yep.
The other one is a targeting flare, where you can put the 3-inch template anywhere you like within 10 inches. There's no deviation, no rolling to hit, no nothing. Anything under that template is suddenly loses camouflage and stealth.
Oh, and they can ignore cloud effects as well.
Yeah,
that's going to.
So what was you saying about your stealth, Denegra?
She'll never be near this. Be far, far away.
No, she won't. And yeah, because it's 2 separate systems. I've done this before. I've done it before where I've gone, right, this model's got Eris, for example.
Yep.
I've gone put a flare on her, and then this shot, I'll hit you with a grenade, boost a hit, boost a damage, and it's like it's 2 different systems. You can fire different grenades, and it can catch people. It's very, you're paying me a premium of 10 points.
Yeah.
But it's got so many utilities. That's why I said if you're not clever, or sort of you haven't got the ability to magnetise the kit. If you're only going to build one, build a Spriggan out of that.
Yeah, it's got the versatility there.
Yeah, and it will really do you well over the time.
Yeah.
So that's just to give it some. So if you did all that, you've got a Juggernaut, a Spriggan, a Destroyer, and a Devastator. That's a nice lot of metal you can put on the table.
Good choice of jacks.
And the Kodiak.
Kodiak. Yeah.
So that's a real good selection you've got there.
So what we thought next is, since we've only got one caster, we thought we'd like to try some of the other ones out.
Yep. I mean, it gives you again added flexibility and different play styles. You know what might be brilliant for one can work completely different for another. And with the army that you've collected so far, in terms of the bits we've laid out, they will benefit each of these casters in different ways.
Yeah, and I mean it's a classic thing in Privateer Press, the Warmachine Act, that changing the Warcaster completely changes the whole army.
Yeah.
With the spells and the feat and everything. So by this point you've amassed a nice selection of troops and solos and jacks.
Yep.
Yeah, it's time to venture forth and see what else.
And it keeps your friends on their toes. I mean, if they walk in and think they're knowing what caster you've got, and you pull out someone else, they're gonna be in pain.
Rias, always Rias.
You sure?
Yes.
Yeah, it's in my Lilith list.
I have.
It's in the list, never seen it on the table.
But
It's only lasted 2 turns, that's why.
right. So far, from the battle box, you've got Solskjaer.
Yep.
She likes to almost fence with the enemy, sort of doing surgical strikes, freezing people, and just trying to pick it off. So
We chose the guy, most subtle.
That.
We chose the most subtle character in the book.
Yeah.
By far.
The Butcher.
Yeah. Everyone loves the Butcher. He was the first caster I actually learnt the game with, because he's pretty
Robust and straightforward.
robust. Not necessarily straightforward, but if you while you're learning the game, if you make a few little mistakes, he can take a few knocks and keep going. So he gives you that cushion while you're learning the subtleties.
Yeah.
It's about as subtle as a flying concrete brick.
Well, but his brick's got a nice name. Right. Well, because these are the important bits, we'll go through the whole pass of the Warcaster.
Okay.
So, but the Butcher, or Butcher 1, P Butcher, whatever you want to call him.
Pat Butcher.
Pat Butcher. Well, he has got the fur trim, really. Yeah.
You just need the earrings.
Yeah.
Any converters out there, please? Make us a Pat Butcher.
I've seen the Butcher at Christmas where they've given him a big beard.
Do a big handbag on one side, pack of cigarettes on the other.
If you haven't seen EastEnders, this will all be over your head, but yeah, for him it's funny. Right. Anyway, he's speed 5, strength 8, mat 9, which is, I don't think anything's higher.
Beastly, yeah.
Nothing without boosting abilities is higher than mat 9 I can think.
Of nothing.
You can get certain trolls.
No.
You can get certain trolls with stacking get higher than that, but on straight, nothing. Rat 5, defense 14, armor 18, and he's got 20 wounds. He is medium base, so this is where the shock troopers will be handy to keep him in cover.
So again, if you're kind of new to Warmachine, depending on your base size, allows what you can and can't be seen behind. So the larger the base, the same size or larger you need in front of you to be hidden. So if you had a small normal unit guy, so one of your Winter Guard in front of the Butcher, you're still going to be able to shoot the Butcher because you can see him because he's such a large, big guy over the others. So that's.
But if the Winter Guard's behind the Butcher,
you can't see
he's done something wrong.
Yeah.
Definitely. He's got terror because his reputation goes before him. No one wants to face him.
Yeah, you slaughter a few villages, you tend to get that.
Yeah. Then you get to his axe. The terrifying Lola.
It's so terrifying, but have you seen the internet video of Lola the Pug? If you've not, look up Lola the Pug on YouTube. It's just so funny.
Oh, I'll have to do that in a minute.
You have to do that. It will ruin Lola for you there.
Fair enough. But before the image gets ruined forever, the fearsome axe of Lola is a magical weapon. It's got reach and weapon master, and it's power 8. So he's walking around with power and strength 16 with weapon master. Yeah.
So he's 2-inch range, 3d6 before boosting or charging or anything like that, and strength 16.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's going to carve a lot of holes in a lot of things.
Yeah.
And it's magical.
Yeah.
So Mat 8 is going to hit most things.
Mat 9.
Mat 9.
Mat 9.
Yeah, so he's going to hit things quite easily as well.
Yeah. He's got Fury, which means the...
So this is his spell list.
Yeah, we'll go through this. Sorry. His spells. He's got Fury, so the target model or unit suffers -1 defense, but they gain +3 to damage rolls in melee. So
that power 19.
That's power 19. He's
defense 13.
Yeah.
Oh well.
He's got Iron Flesh, which unit suffers -1 speed. So if you suffer any negative modifier to your speed, you cannot charge. So it's worth remembering that. You can run.
You can run?
You can run, you just can't charge.
Right, okay.
But,
I always get that confused.
okay, -1 speed, not good, but +3 defense is
So
good.
if you're receiving the charge, or
Well,
you put that on...
goes on your Widowmakers.
Yeah.
Your Widowmakers or your Winter Guard.
Yeah, this again, this is the final piece of the stacking puzzle.
Yeah.
The Def 12 Winter Guard, yeah. Def 14 if you bob and weave, getting better. Def 14 with Tough from Joe, better still.
Def 17.
Def 17 with Tough,
Yeah.
just sitting there going, hiya!
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, it's blocking everything from you. You park behind that and...
Yeah. The next two spells are more situational. There is main 2, but you've got Full Throttle, which is all models in this battle group. Remember, the Warcaster is part of the battle group. Beginning their activation in his control area can run or charge or make slam or trample power attacks without spending focus. And while in his control area, they gain boosted melee attack rolls. So suddenly he can be benefiting from his spell, so he's rolling 3 dice to hit.
He can't benefit from Full Throttle because it states Warjacks.
While his models in this battle group gain boosted melee attack rolls.
Yeah, so he benefits from that part.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he can benefit from it. I mean, he's not going to do power attacks anyway, because he can't.
So if you suddenly go like against the really high defense Warcasters, well, I mean, if you want to say it, so Rias, Ashlyn, Kane, people like that.
Hayley.
I'm on about like the 17 pluses.
Right.
Yeah, the real, going, well, even he needs 8s.
Yeah, with this, he's got 3d6 to find it without boosting.
And the Jacks can still do stuff.
Yeah.
Charge for free, and all their attacks are boosted to hit, which is, with the Kodiak, both of those fists are now rolling 2 dice, which pretty much guarantees that the chain attack will work.
And in this situation as well, because he's only got 6 focus, by spending 3 there, he's not having to worry about
paying
3 jacks off to do these different things.
Exactly.
And he's getting the benefit himself.
Yeah,
as well.
if you build the army right, you can get more than 3 focus worth out of that.
You're getting the 3 focus just for the fact 1 Jack charging boosted melee, next Jack charging boosted melee. That's already 4 focus points from 2
power
Jacks.
attacks.
If they've got 2 melee attacks each, say like the Kodiak or the Juggernaut, each of those attacks are boosted. So
that's 6 points.
So if you've taken him plus, your 2 jacks from the battle box, and then your Kodiak or your Spriggan or whatever,
it adds up.
Yeah, that's really good to add together.
And the final one is Obliteration, which if it does hit, which unfortunately is focus 6, so it's not always guaranteed, and it's a lot of his focus to cast it. It produces a nice big AOE which can do some damage.
Yeah.
It's not one I would cast all the time, but it can be used if you're really in a situation.
Yeah.
And then finally comes his feat. His feat, while in his control area, friendly faction models gain additional dice to damage rolls.
Right, so everything in the army is suddenly getting better at damage.
Additional dice damage.
Yeah, so it's shooting gets additional dice. Rain of Death would get an additional dice. Magic attacks would get additional dice. If he charges, he's rolling 5 dice with Lola.
And then chuck in Full Throttle as well, so he's got 3 dice to hit. And everything else. Yeah, that's going to ruin a few people's days.
His feat can, if you time it right, will just wreck an army. He's called the Butcher for a reason.
He sits there carving up meat.
And
off the bone.
Yeah, I mean the model's nice. I mean some of the fluff is allegedly his armour, because they couldn't find a suit big enough for him. They used parts from a Jack chassis to build it. some of the other bits of they don't know where he came from. He just walked up to the Khadoran military academy with 2 Labour Jacks in tow, knocked on the door, said, "Let me in, this is what I can do," and they didn't really argue and hastily brought him in and said, "Yes, boss."
Fair enough.
So yeah, he's a good comedy character. Well, not even comedy. He's a good model on the table, and the fluff behind him is really good as well. And now we'll go to the complete polar opposite.
Okay.
Whereas the Butcher was all about running headlong, smacking people till they stop moving.
Yep.
We'll go to Commandant Irisk.
Go sends Butcher to smack people till they stop moving.
Or P. Irisk, Irisk 1, yeah, or if you look at the model, sometimes it reminds you of M. Bison from Street Fighter.
Street Fighter 2.
Yeah. I love this character. He's a real toolbox character. There's never a turn where he hasn't got things he can be doing.
Yeah.
Again, quickly go through everything here. He's speed 6, strength 6, mat 7, rat 6, defense 15, armor 15, command 10. So he's not outstanding, but he's got good solid stats all the way through there.
Yeah.
He's got a sword cannon, which is range 10, rate of fire 2, and power 13.
Okay.
Power 13 and rate of fire 2 can catch people out.
So just to correct me there, does he have to spend focus to get the second shot? Or does
Yes, he does.
Yes.
Right, okay.
That's after his sword, which is power 6, PNS 12.
Yeah.
So not bad.
He's got 7 focus, 17 hit points, and 6 warjack points. So, again, he's a lot of utility there. Mm-hmm. He's got assault, so as part of a charge, he can make a shot as he's going in.
Right, okay.
And he's got quick work, which if he destroys one or more enemy models with melee, he can make another shot.
Okay, so nice. So you run in, have a shot, kill someone, have a shot, spend mana to kill another one, have a shot, kill someone else, have a shot.
Well, but if you're in melee range, you might not be able to have a shot. But you say run him in. If he has to get his weapon dirty,
Is he doing something wrong?
He's almost, the Napoleonic general with a clean white tent sitting on a hill with a glass of brandy, directing traffic.
Yeah.
3 miles away from the front line.
This is what he's all about. I mean, if you read the fluff, he literally did write the book on warfare.
Right, okay.
It's actually called Irisk on Conquest: How to Fully Subjugate Your Enemy. Is how the book's called.
Catchy title.
Yeah, and it's
available at Amazon now.
Yeah, and it's a compulsory reading for all trainee warcasters.
If he's not sitting at the back of the table having a beer with Joe, something's gone wrong.
The only thing that's keeping him from the table edge is if it's a kill box scenario, really.
Yeah.
We go to his spells. He's got Airburst, which puts a 3-inch AoE anywhere in his control area, and it ignores line of sight. And it also ignores cover, concealment, elevation, and stealth. So literally, that burst is happening over their heads and showering them with shrapnel.
Right, okay.
Again, if people are hiding behind woods, whatever, it's a nice little toy. Now we get to some of his one of his good ones, Battle Lust. Target for any faction model stroke unit gains Fearless and gains an additional dice of melee on melee damage for 1 round. Fearless, always good. Basically, you're turning whatever unit you put that onto into Weapon Masters.
Yeah.
Iron Fang Pikemen, Shock Troopers.
Jack.
The Winter Guard.
Can't put it on Jacks because it's model or warrior models or units.
Ah, okay. That's true.
Kiazi Assassins, anything like that. He can really put the hurt out.
Himself,
if you really get in trouble. So, yeah, I mean, that's a great spell to suddenly go. And because it's not upkeepable, he can put it on several units in 1 turn if you need to.
Yeah.
So, again, versatility. You've got Grind, which is a spell which was really good in Mark 1, not as good now.
Yeah.
Range 10, power 14. Power 14's good.
Yeah.
When a Jack is hit by this, it suffers 1 point to its first available movement system. So before we've even rolled damage roll, it's still dinking a point.
Yeah.
It's not bad, but it's a little bit expensive. Inhospitable Ground. While in this control area, all of that area is counted as difficult ground for the enemy.
Yeah.
So that's, if you haven't got Pathfinder, that really has issues with your charging, and controlling the table.
Yeah,
And at Focus 7, it's a 14-inch bubble.
Yeah.
Nothing's really going to get to him.
Not only that, but like, if you're playing scenarios or,
Yeah.
you can stop a charge, which then means you can counter-charge the next turn. It gives you the tactical flexibility there to really...
it's all about the tactical options. He has Iron Flesh, which we've already just spoken about.
Yep, so
again, very utility.
Speed, +3 defence.
I will say, people go, oh, like Khador, Iron Flesh, Iron Flesh, Iron Flesh, Iron Flesh. There's only about 4 casters in Khador that have Iron Flesh.
It's quite a lot.
Out of about 13, 14...
Yeah, there's still a fair amount.
But
and they're casters you're going to see regularly. It's probably why people complain.
But then again, if you look at Signar, where you can have Arcane Shield with anyone, because you can have the Journeyman Warcaster with any Warcaster. There's... Yeah, so it's... You will hear this, but just because I've tried to choose casters which are good to learn with, they actually happen to have that. But yeah, Iron Flesh isn't as prevalent as what people first say. And finally, I would say the best Jack spell in the game, Superiority. Target friendly Warjack model gains +2 speed, mat and defense, and cannot be knocked over, and it's upkeepable. So once you put that on your Jack, you only have to spend 1, and it keeps it and just keeps going.
Yeah, which for a faction that has generally slow Jacks, really useful.
Yeah.
Plus the mat and defense, so you're harder to hit, which will catch people unawares, because usually they're quite easy to hit comparatively.
Yeah.
And then also the mat, always useful for smacking in, anything you come in contact with.
Yeah.
Well, that Spriggan, for example, you're suddenly going, I'm speed 6, so I can charge 9 inches with reach.
That's
on that
11.
charge, I'm mat 10 with that power 18 lance. Mat 10 is going to hurt.
Yeah.
Or you have a Devastator that's running 12 inches a turn at you now as a bowling ball. It can just really, it's just a great spell. There's nothing.
It shows you where these choices, you've not just picked general units you like. You can see how each one fits into these 3 different casters.
And then finally, his feat. This feat, I had to read this several times when I first was learning this. His feat, it just sounds too good to be true. While in his control area, friendly faction warrior models, stroke units, gain Fearless, good, Tough, good. And +2 to melee and range attack rolls.
Right, okay.
And cannot be knocked down.
Yeah.
So you're improving your odds at shooting, improving your odds at combat. You're making yourself more resilient. You can't be knocked over. Which you won't run away.
Is really useful because
if you toughs are better than normal.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
If you make a tough roll,
no, it's a 4, 5, or 6.
No, at the moment, that's the next bit.
If you made a tough roll, normally you'd be knocked down.
Yeah.
But you can't be knocked down now, so you're not affected by that.
When a friendly faction warrior model makes a tough roll, on a 4, 5, or 6 while in his control area. So if you have 1 model in the unit in his control area, the whole unit gains the first lot of bonuses.
Yeah.
If that particular model that's having to make a tough roll is in his control area, rather than it being a 5-up, it's now a 4, 5, or 6.
But that doesn't affect the whole unit though, does it? It's just the guys who are actually in his control area.
But with a 14-inch bubble, it's a huge area, and it can ruin people's plans.
Yeah.
Again, I had a game, it was a tournament a couple of years back. My opponent thought he had an opportunity where he could slam, with his gladiator, slam my Spriggan into Irisk. But to do that, there was about 3 Kiazi assassins in the way, and there's this one guy that made tough roll after tough roll after tough roll. He was being hit by Venator shots, Paingiver whips, magic missiles, and he just would not drop.
Everything but the kitchen sink.
In the end, he'd run out of resources to open the channel, because basically he wanted to knock my caster down with Iris down with the slam, and then something else was then going to try and finish Iris off. In the end, he went, okay, this turn's wasted, and he just smacked the Kiazi with the gladiator in the end. And okay, I failed a tough roll then, but it saved my turn.
Yeah.
And it's one of those. If you have a turn where those 4-ups work, it's just game breaking. If you can't make a 4-up in that turn, it's unfortunate.
Yeah.
It's just the only trouble about this feat is knowing when to do it. You can try and do it for the defensive bonus, or do you save it when you're going in on the aggressive? But either way, great.
Yeah.
Dream situation, you go in, hit lots of things, and you're ready for the counter charge in the dream situation. But he's not just good for learning the game, he's good all the way through the game.
That's really cool.
If I was playing Khador now, I would go to a tournament, I would gladly take him.
Yeah.
No problems at all.
So before we wrap it up there, do you want to go through Sorsha just briefly, because even though we're kind of aiming this at people who've already bought the Battlebox, just to explain as a caster what she does and how potentially she could interact with the units we've laid out there. And also just to highlight, how she might differ on the new stuff that you've added to your army.
Okay, no worries. Yeah. Well, hopefully anyone that's got the Battlebox should know her stats, but she's Speed 6, Strength 6, Mat 6, Rat 5, Defense 16, Armor 14, Command 9.
So a nice high defense.
A nice high defense.
Yeah, lower armor, but then that's understandable because of the defense.
She's got a hand cannon, and then her magic weapon, Frostfang, reach with power 13 and magical, and it's got critical freeze.
Okay.
Because she's basically the master of the North Winds, she is immune to cold.
Yep.
She is all about, as I said before, surgical strikes and trying to just pick away.
Yeah, fencing.
Yeah. She's got boundless charge, which means friendly models can move an extra 2 inches and gain Pathfinder.
Yep.
So she can try and outrange people. Fog of War, so she helps give concealment to friendly models. Which
again, that could be really useful with your Widowmakers.
Yeah, exactly.
If you don't have the terrain to cover them, you give them that instead.
Or even the Winter Guard, because she doesn't have Iron Flesh.
Yeah.
She has Freezing Grip, which is a little bit expensive at 4 focus. But if you hit the target, the model unit becomes stationary for 1 round, but so it can just pin them in place.
Yeah.
Which is always nice. She got Razor Wind, which is like a good solid magic missile.
Yep.
And she's got Tempest, which nice big AOE. If you hit, you're knocked down and suffer a power 12. So you can set up those angles and assassinations.
Yep.
And then she's got Wind Rush, so she can immediately make a full advance. When it says full advance, that's her basic speed.
Yeah.
So she can't run, but she can still move 6 inches, and she gains +2 defense. So that puts her defense up to 18. So it's
above average.
Well above average.
Yeah.
And then her feat, enemy models without immunity cold currently in her control area and have line of sight to her. And in line of sight become stationary for 1 round.
Okay.
So if you really go for the silliness, she moves 6 inches with Wind Rush.
Yep.
You can measure your control area. She can then charge a target and cast Boundless Charge. So she's going speed 8, 11 with reach 13 inches. So that's 19 inches she's threatened from.
Yep.
When she gets there, she pops her feet. The target is now stationary. I'm also hitting. And she can finish a game like that from nowhere.
Power 13. Because it's a charge, it's boosted damage.
Yeah.
Not only that, I mean, at the very worst, if you pop it early, it's an extra turn of movement for you and your guys. So, it's helping people in place, being slow.
Yeah.
You can call up the field. At best, you're hitting them automatically because they're stationary. With your melee attack.
It also means that if the opponent's enemies are stationary, your destroyer shots are going to be more likely to hit because the target's defense is a lot lower.
Yep.
With
the
the
Widowmakers are going to be.
Yeah, or with the Winter Guard, Joe can say, "I'll give you the 4-up tough because you don't need boosted to hit because your sprays will just be hitting without any effort anyway." You can layer it again.
Yeah, and it gives you again that tactical flexibility there, and it shows you how you can then rejig the abilities of the force to best fit the situation.
Yeah. She's got some good options, and hopefully between those 3 warcasters,
you've covered most bases.
Yeah, and from there, I mean, there's loads. I mean, you've got Vlad for I love Vlad for lots of more individual heroics. You've got Old Witch for real field control shenanigans. You've got Strakov.
You've got
Zakova.
Go on. There's a reason he didn't do her. She's very complicated.
Zakova is a Crix Warcaster without access to arc nodes.
And wrong faction, isn't she?
She so is. If she was in Crix, she would be fighting right at the top of the pecking order with the Dennies and the Asphyxius.
Yeah.
But she doesn't have the arc node, so she has to come right to the front and risk and to cast her spells and do her tricks. In which case she goes smack, you're dead. Whereas Denny can do that from 20 inches away. That's her problem.
Taking her.
She's definitely not for a beginner. You've got Strakov with some of his real obscene threat ranges and tricks that he can do. Yeah, we've said about Solskjaer. Like I said, Old Witch with the field control. Karchev. If you know, by this point you should have a good number of jacks. If you want someone that can take jacks, Karchev's your man. Well, I mean, he's half a jack himself. Again, he looks really hard, but you actually do need a bit of tact with him because it's very easy to lose him, thinking that he's indestructible. And yeah, and then we're back to Irisk at the start. And then in more recent books, you've got Harkovich, you've got Vlad III on a horse. Yeah, beautiful model that is. All giving more flavour to the Khadoran Force.
So recommend cut your teeth first on some of the earlier ones.
Yeah.
Try those, and then once you've got a feel for it, and you've got a feel for how you want to move your army forward, then pick up the more tricky casters, and that's Warmachine for you, really. Yeah.
Hopefully, nothing there we've recommended will leave anyone crying. But yeah, it's good.
Your opponent, hopefully.
Well, yeah. It's good stuff to cut your teeth and find your way.
Yeah, and that's what it's all about. So, I think it was a nice show. We'll be back next time with...
I think the next one... is Menoth.
Right, so Menoth on Battlebox and beyond. See you next time.
Bye.